Howdy folks, Spencer here, and today I'll be recapping the findings from the first day of testing the 15th bundle, along with highlighting some important news that you should all be aware of. As always, chapters to each topic are listed below. First, here are the tooltips for the new starship traits off of the 15th bundle ships. Feel free to pause if you want to take a closer look at them. At the top left is a call to arms from the Pioneer 2. At the top right is broadside beam support off of the Corolla. At the bottom left is Clear for Action off of the Shangri-La, and bottom right is Mine All Mine off of the Ark Royal. Now, as for the value of these traits, a call to arms is going to be interesting for those of you into that pet summon sort of playstyle. Broadside beam support is currently putting up some really crazy good numbers on the runs that I've done with it and from others that I've talked to that have tried it out. So if you're doing a beam overload or fire at will build where you're doing a lot of broadside against your enemies, then picking the crawl up for both the trait and the console that I'll be going over in a few minutes is going to be very interesting for you. On this parse from Cheops, the broadside beam support trait did 118k of the 1,072,000 he did. So that is a pretty respectable amount for a trait that is giving you an extra shot off of your beams. And here's a run that I did on stream earlier today, where I did 688k in this, and the broadside beam support did 107k. Now, those runs were on builds that were using phaser beam rays, because this trait does do phaser damage. I don't know how it does on non-phaser beam ray setups so far, but for sure if you're on a phaser beam ray setup, then the Corolla should be at the top of your shopping list right now. The trait and console are really, really powerful. And next up is Clear for Action. I know there's a few of you that were interested in this. This is the Shangri-La trait, and when you hit evasive maneuvers, it provides 25% firing cycle haste for all weapons. Now, from the testing I've done, this works for everything other than Maelstrom torpedoes, but it does have a weird effect. So, if you look at the recharge time on my prototype phaser hexacannons here, when I activate this trait, it just flickers back and forth. It's a bit weird, and it'll do that for all of the weapons it's impacting. So I don't know how that's actually impacting performance. If you compare that to the Ilios, which is just a constant haste buff, it's just staying there at that value. So I don't know what sort of impact that flickering is going to have, but I don't like seeing it. And ultimately, evasive maneuvers doesn't have great uptime. That's up for 8 seconds, and realistically, most people are going to have it up every 30 to 40 seconds. So not great uptime. Now, this is one of the few sources of firing cycle haste that also impacts experimental weapons and the other weapon types other than energy weapons. So there is still a value to it, but I do wish the value was a little bit higher given the lower uptime. Or alternatively, if it was also triggered by devices like the deuterium surplus, I think that would be a way to get a bit more out of this trait. And then there is the Mine All Mine trait from the Ark Royal. So every time you launch a hangar, it is going to summon in some mines that then teleport to the furthest foe and deal kinetic damage on detonation. So let's take a look at this in game. So I am going to be using the Borg pets that we got from the 14th anniversary bundle, and I do happen to have 3 flight deck officers on to reduce the time to recharge hangar bays, meaning that these things basically launch every second. So let's take a look at how often the mines summon in here. So you can see the mines are summoning in quite often, and as soon as they spawn in, they're teleporting to a foe, and then they're doing some damage. Now, this is on normal difficulty. I'll be doing some actual performance testing of these, sometime in the next couple of days, but this is just a visual demonstration of what these things can do, and, for someone into that carrier playstyle, I think this is something that's going to be fairly immersive for you. And then for the consoles, here are the tooltips. Again, top left is going to be off the Pioneer 2, top right is the Corolla, bottom left is Shangri-La, and bottom right is the Ark Royal. Now, it is worth noting that currently the Ridge system console off the Pioneer and the Scatterpacks and Weasels console off of the Ark Royal are not being buffed by various damage buffs, so those are currently underperforming, but that has been reported, and that will likely be fixed here sometime in the near future. With Ridge system being a torpedo style console, I can't really comment on how it's going to perform until they have those fixes in place. But for Scatterpacks and Weasels, with that having a lower recharge time at a minute, and based on what I have seen of it so far, I think that's going to be a really interesting console for carrier builds once they get it sorted out. And for the other two consoles, the Broadside combat module off of the Corolla is good for any broadside build, whether that be beams or turrets. The performance from this, even on non-phaser setups, has been quite stellar so far. It is only up for a couple of seconds, so you do want to use it at the right time in a run. But again, the performance from this has been crazy. This run from Cheops has the full broadside, which is this console, in second place right after Resonance Shock at 194k DPS. Now that is on a high uncon setup, so the console is being spammed a bit more often in the run. But still, the fact that it's able to perform that well is pretty crazy. And between that and the trait off the Corolla, if you're a beam player, that ship is something you need to be picking up either standalone or as part of the bundle. And the last console here is Sequential Warhead Loader off of the Shangri-La. The passive on this is not actually that much. That equates to around 2 to like 2.2% projectile shield pen. And for the clicky here, this does actually do a good bit of damage, and I think on a tort build it would do pretty well. For a non-tort build, I don't think it's necessarily a console that you're going to find yourself getting much out of. But on the right builds that have some kinetic buffs on them, or a support build looking at that shield subsystem offline, I would say this console is worth taking a look at. And there were a lot of people curious about the Type 4 Shuttlecraft off of the Ark Royal. They're nothing special. They have pulse phaser arrays with beam overload, and they have aceton beam on them. They're nothing like the Type 7s. The Type 7s are still the much, much better pets to run. I would only ever use these on a theme build where you just absolutely have to have that Type 4 visual. And before I get into some of the other topics, I do have a couple of notes about the bundle here. So for the Pioneer 2 and the Ark Royal, the bonus Picard era skins they have are included with the standalone versions of the ships as well, so you don't have to buy the bundle to get those skins. Even the one that you pick up with the T6 coupon or 3000 Zen is going to have those skins available. Next up, for the Federation Type 2 Phaser Pistol and the Starfleet Armored Security Guard uniform, I'm going to show you where to claim those in-game. So, for the Type 2 pistol, that's going to be under Items, Promotion Unlocked Items, and that'll be right there. And for whatever reason, the cosmetic there is going to be under the Promotions tab, and you're going to have to scroll down a bit to see it. So there it is. The Starfleet Armored Security Guard uniform, for whatever reason, is under promotions instead of items, promotion unlocked items. Not sure why they did that, but that is the case here. And for the consumables here, the ship slots tend to open up automatically, so make sure you're buying the bundle on the character you want your ship slots on. If you're on a character that is at the ship cap, which is going to be 75 if you're a lifetime sub, then these will be deposited into your inventory as boxes that you can toss into your account bank and then open up on the character you want them on. The 100 Lobby is bound to you, of course. The Master Keys and Tech Upgrades are also going to be bound to you. The ship upgrade tokens are not bound and can be sold on the exchange. And the T6 ship coupon box, that is unbound so long as you leave it in the box. As soon as you open the box, it becomes bound to you. But if you're looking to sell it for EC, they've been going for around 300 to 325 mil from what I've seen in the trading channel in the past couple of days. So if you're looking to make a little bit of EC, then hit up one of the various trade channels or zone chat, and you'll probably find a buyer quite quickly. And I'm only saying this because it's popped up on the various Discords, the Stow subreddit, and has been reported directly to the devs on some social media platforms. But the event campaign coupons, which are typically restricted and not able to acquire new ships, can currently be used to acquire the ships from the 15th bundle. So if you happen to have any of those coupons and you're interested in ships from this bundle, like the Corolla or the Ark Royal, then I would recommend you act fast and use those while you're still able to. I can't imagine they'll let that stick around for too long. It wouldn't surprise me if that is something that we see patched here in the next couple of hours, to be honest. And in the event any developer is listening, I have received many complaints that the 13th and 14th bundle ships are still not able to be acquired with those event camping coupons. So, with them no longer being in the new items tab, it would be really great if you guys could go through and make those coupons usable on those older ships. Now, shifting over to the patch notes, the patch that PC got yesterday did resolve the issue that we called Turretgate, where using turrets under cannon scatter volley could cause accuracy to flicker downwards. That has now been resolved, and turrets are performing so much better. So, if you want to do a full turret build again, you're going to see a really nice performance jump due to this fix. And next up, regarding the Ark Royal getting a secondary deflector, Borticus says that this is a test bed to get player reactions and some performance testing. And depending on how it goes, this could potentially lead to other science carriers getting secondary deflectors added to them as well. So if you have any thoughts about the secondary deflector situation, make sure to test out the Ark Royal and give some feedback. And lastly, Borticus has an update over on Blue Sky regarding the dilithium Vanity shields being bound to character from the recent event they did. So the fix for this was meant to go live with the patch today, but it didn't end up working out. So the fix is going to be that players that purchased the new Vanity shields during the most recent promotion will find that their erroneous items have been deleted from their characters, and replacements will be in their in-game mailbox waiting to be claimed once they roll the proper fix out. So no specific date on when that's going to happen, but just know if you did purchase one of those Vanity shields that bound a character, that at some point here in the very near future, you're going to see that it's disappeared from whatever ship you have it on or your inventory, and you're going to have the replacement that is properly bound to account sitting in your mailbox. And that's it for today, but before I go, I want to thank everyone for stopping by the stream earlier today. I know the delay was a bit inconvenient with everything that happened yesterday, but still, 647 peak on YouTube and 122 peak on Twitch is the largest stream count I've ever seen. So again, thank you all for the continued support, and as I said in that stream, there's going to be another stream this Saturday going over the Ark Royal in a bit more detail, playing around with some fun pet-focused builds on it. And I'm also going to be starting up a T6 coupon giveaway on that stream that is going to be running on the CasualSAB Discord for at least a week, so make sure to check out the Discord this weekend. And as always, thank you to all channel members and viewers for the continued support. See you guys around.